Hey guys, Arm&Gun here. Part 3 on the SIG 550 Sniper. This is the Series 1 on the gun. So got the intro, the shooting video, now the field strip and internal review. And then tomorrow, part 4 will be the main overview of the gun with some good history and just facts on it and some differences. I'll go through all the special features of the gun that you see on the externally. And we'll compare those against a traditional 550. Well, in this case, it'll be my 553. SIG 553. So, without further ado, let's start breaking this guy apart. It's going to break down very similar to my 553. The only really differences you're going to see is that this is a larger gas system, essentially. That's really about it in this case. So, for starters, we're going to pop this optic off because it's going to get in the way. So let's do that. I just had this thing on here very loose with anticipation of pulling it off. Let's remove that. And we'll pop our mag out. Prove it clear. And just a special treat for you guys, I've got a really cool bonus gun for the end of this video. And it's complimentary of this gun, especially the internals. So we'll get to that as we go. But it's from Finland. It's a little older than this guy, and it's also a DMR kind of setup gun. So I'll just leave you with that for now, and we'll progress here. So, also going to pop off this gorgeous Accutac bipod. Let's get that out of here. These things love these bipods. All right, so we've proved it clear. Don't need the round either. It's got the same push pin removal system, so you're going to push the pin in and then push it from the back side. The front one's going to be captured and stay in there. And actually, no, I want to pop the full lower off too because I'm going to show you the trigger assembly and the trigger mechanism. Very cool, very cool. Actually, oh, what am I doing here? Okay. Okay, and again, the way these pins work is you push in, and that retracts these two little claw things, and then that's what retains them on the other side. Pop that out. Don't actually need these tools here. They're kind of just from the thumbnail perspective to indicate that this is a disassembly video. Okay, upper lower receiver separated. Let's jump right into this. Excuse me. Let's jump right into this trigger mechanism. Really gorgeous. You can see here too, got the bolt catch and release. The way that functions is it just pushes down on the follower, or the follower rather pushes up on it after the last bullet has been removed or the last round has been stripped, and that's going to catch your action on that little flat surface up there and keep it open. Flapper lock drops the mag. All right, guys. Here's your safety, 2-position only, safe, and fire. So the way this works, it's really interesting, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Ian McCullum, his channel Forgotten Weapons. He did a video on this gun last week, and it's a little bit different. I'd recommend checking out his as well. It had a different upper receiver, but the lower should have been nearly identical. And he he gave a good comparison of the lower receiver, the way the trigger works, and a good explanation of that. Really cool. They completely redesigned this trigger for this gun because this gun is essentially a SIG 550 or a PE 90, would be a little more accurate because it's a semi-automatic only version. But they completely redesigned the trigger in it, and it was just to really allow the user, in this case likely a police sniper, to realize the maximum potential of this gun in terms of accuracy. These guns were known for, 3/4 MOA results. It's semi-automatic centerfire. That's pretty darn good. So they wanted to give a trigger that was going to allow real world, 1 MOA accuracy, which as a police sniper, you're going to want to be very, very accurate. Shooting in urban areas, taking out, potentially targets in dynamic situations or in hostage situations, things like that. So that's the role this gun would have been meant to fulfill, and they would have really wanted it to excel. Anyway, so the trigger here is just gorgeous, and the reason that they were able to do that is the the trigger bow portion, I mean, the hammer is still curled up with a torsion spring here, but the trigger itself, when it goes, it's not connected to that torsion spring. And from my understanding with what Ian said, torsion springs naturally have a much higher, like a much more firm initial tension. There's an initial, you know, poundage to overcome to depress them. So by going instead to would be an extension spring from what I can see in there, basically think of like a trampoline spring, essentially with 2 hooks and then just a coil, and you're now pulling, you know, you're pulling up on that. So as you can see down there, if you can see down there, there is a little bar, and it's connected to the bottom of this, basically what your hammer is rotating on, and that little bar, it just is hooked around that little hook of the trampoline spring, so to speak, and you're pulling up on that. So that's way lighter. You can definitely control the tension on those types of springs. Are just super well, you can control that tension a lot better, and that just leaves you to a much lighter pull, which is just really nice. So I'm getting into a lot of detail there. I just wanted to give you some value in maybe checking out my version of this event, in addition to Ian's, but he definitely gave a great explanation for that in the first place. So trigger pull is gorgeous. I'll go through that in my general overview. I'll give you a trigger pull and I'll give you a reset, things like that. Let's try now and jump into the gas system here. So the upper receiver, 25.6-inch barrel, bare muzzle, not threaded, 3/4 inch diameter barrel. It's definitely a bull barrel, but again, they just wanted it nice and firm, rigid. They really wanted to squeeze that accuracy out. So internally, the way you separate this, because the action and everything the buffer system, and I guess the recoil spring assembly, that's all contained around the piston, which is a nice, efficient design. Because normally, you know, you'd have something popping out the back, or a buffer system like you have, you know, receiver extension like you have on an AR. But in this case, you can see it's so smooth too. Just unbelievable. Like when that releases there, just really closely here, you can see gets back, you know, 3/4 of an inch, starts rotating that very AK-esque bolt out. Gorgeous systems. Such a smooth bolt. These little lips here, these little rubber lips, that's just to seal off the action so you don't get dirt and debris in behind the bolt. So anyways, right now you're locked up. So what you have to do is you depress this bolt, this little paddle, or whatever you want to call this thing here. Push that down. That's going to release the connection to the charging handle. Charging handle pulls right out, and see the charging handle is the link. That's what connects the bolt carrier group to the piston assembly, and because this is essentially a long stroke piston gun. There's your bolt, and look at that. This is basically, I went through a lot of detail in my SIG 553 video, broke it down, spent a lot of time comparing this to an AK, because the similarities are uncanny, and it's really this gun, I think, borrowed a lot from that system. So that's it for there. Steel stamped receiver, just really nice, really high quality made. There's your piston up there. Pop out the front gas block, that all pulls out. I think I'm going to cut this video a little bit shorter here, just because it's decently long, and I've got all this stuff covered in considerable detail in my SIG 553 video. So I'm going to keep this one a bit shorter. We're just going to get to our bonus gun again, and we're going to leave her there. Okay, so that's that. Lower pops back on the upper, and in the interest of saving time, I'm going to jump right into my bonus gun, which again, this was a gun that I hunted down. It's one of my personal guns, and I hunted this down. There's a tip for you. If you guys recognize that, this 3-prong flash hider should give it away. But track this one down. There's as few as 50 that ever got made or brought into the States. But without further ado, here is the Valmet M78 83S. So this was, as far as I know, this was a commercial gun. This was based on the Valmet, M78 series though, which was a military, RPK style gun. The Valmet's made, Finland Valmet was a Finland production company, manufacturing company for firearms, and they make great stuff. These are excellent quality AKs, but they are really, really nice. And this was just a really cool example of one that was kind of a little bit of a special edition. So this interesting kind of Dragunov-esque stock wood cheek riser. It's really neat. These guys also have a receiver rail for an optic. It was a Mauser Electro Point, Mark V Electro Point, something like that. These things came with. I don't know why. It was kind of just a nice commercial optic at the time. But there we have the receiver marking. Valmet M78, which the reason I can have this in Canada with the civilian license is because Valmets were, M78s and M88s were exempt from any bans when all the other AK stuff got banned, and this is just a version of that, so it's still quite fine. It's basically identical except for the fact of that marking, the stock that it came with, the rail and the optic. Otherwise, it's basically identical to any other M78. Though this is the stamped variety. There were stamped and milled M78s. And this is again the stamped one. They only came in the stamped. You could also find these guns with polymer furniture, black polymer handguard and buttstock. And a fun anecdote is Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I think it was Commando. I think I'm messing something up here. It's one of Arnold's old movies from the 80s, and you see him with one of these slung over his shoulder. It's got the black polymer furniture, and they put it on an M78 7.62 by 39 instead of this is a 308. So anyways, that's the bonus gun for today, guys. Thank you so much. If you like this type of content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Link for that right here. Definitely appreciate that a ton. I'm new. I've been doing this for like 4 months, and I'm really loving it. Just want to up my production quality in terms of camera, lighting, all that kind of good stuff. And with the shooting component, the shooting videos definitely is where I can really use your support. Just there's lots of stuff that I can do and produce better content, more exciting, more engaging stuff. So at any rate, thanks a ton. Arm&Gun out.